You are listening to WBHM, Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk only on Paranormal Experience Radio. Broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
And we're back. So I'm watching people talk and chat, and I think it's so interesting when you're sitting there. And I know that most of your chats are your people are family. They know each other and they visit with each other. I love that.
Yeah, it's a community within a community. I a long time ago, actually started a website dedicated to creating a community around the show. And fortunately or unfortunately, it didn't take off the way I hoped it would. Right. Actually, about 4 people joined it, and then about 40,000 spam bots joined it. So instead of trying to undo the work of 40,000 spam bots, because as you can imagine, they were quick and just propagated the site with all sorts of things that would have taken hours and probably days to delete. I just decided to pull the whole thing. But the concept in my mind states that I need to give the listeners an opportunity to connect with each other and be part of it. Because back when I started, I had communications with hosts that I didn't feel were directly to the host. They were always to a producer or a chat room moderator or any number. There was always a person between. And I never, you never know if the message actually got through. Because, they're always saying, ask for, have your questions asked now. And you ask a question that was very reasonable for the guest, and it never got asked, and you go, why didn't it get asked? And anyways. So I took it upon myself to invest time into people that listen to the show live. Not to say I don't invest time in people that don't listen to the show live, but I always make an effort to invest a few, tweet here, tweet there. And of course, through the course of goodness, it's been 4 years since I started doing this like this, those people have changed, have evolved, because the original people who would have been part of that site have all stopped listening, or stopped listening live at least. I'm pretty sure some of them still listen via podcast. And I still stay in touch with a couple of them, but they don't listen live. And, it ebbs and flows, and like last night was kind of slow, and some nights there's 25 people there.
Yep. In
the chat, well, and what's listening live. And the funny part is, this is how I enjoy my life. I enjoy life with people like this. It doesn't matter if you've seen them yesterday or a year ago today. It's not, why haven't you been in touch? Not, why haven't you called? Why haven't you, hey, how you been? Good to see you.
Yep.
Don't be such a stranger. There's that, I hate when people feel the obligation to be somewhere or be part of something. I just, I want you to come in, hang out for an hour or hour and a half, whatever you want to do. And then if you miss 6 weeks, I want you to come back in and feel just as relaxed and just as positive as it can be coming back 6 weeks later, 6 months later, a year later, whenever. And that's my goal, to create a space that is productive for me as the host, but productive for me as the person, because let's be honest, in this day and age where, yes, I probably, the social media footprint is over 100,000 across the board. Doesn't mean anything, because it's the 10 people that I talk to, I don't want to say religiously, but often, that make it worth that footprint. Because with that, if I had talked to 10 people out of that 100,000, it's just numbers at that point. And I'd rather have a solid baseline of people that, yeah, I can tell that A, B, and C aren't happy with the show, but D, E, and F are thrilled with the show. So some nights you go one way, some nights you go the other way, and some nights you just meet in the middle. Everybody's happy with it. So,
and that's a nice
balanced.
mix.
It keeps me Yeah, it keeps me, because obviously there are times where I can book guests and go off the rails. I mean, some of these guests that I've had recently are skewed very heavily politically, and I don't want to talk political stuff, but I want to talk political. I want to talk around politics because there's so much going on just right under the surface that maybe modern day conspiracy. That we, someday somebody will be like, man, I'm glad that Malliard recorded that interview with, we'll say, Roger Stone, and got some answers about some stuff that wasn't soundbite related to Fox News or MSNBC or CNN or wherever else he's been. So there's a lot going on, but it's all, at the end of the day, I act like I have a great master plan for all this stuff, and truthfully, at the end of the day, it's just, I look back and tell you that it's all part of the plan, but there was no plan going into it. So.
Well, that's what you asked me when I started doing this, was, I know you've got a plan. And you're the only person who asked me that out of all the people that knew the situation. And, because quite frankly, I was seat of your pantsing and just praying to get through and have something I could, if I had to, edit. But always try to get something going.
Now, I think that the message I sent was, you need a plan.
Now, you said, you assumed that I had one.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, because normally I tell people they should have one. Doesn't matter if you stick to it or not. At least you've taken the time to conceptualize everything, because at the end of the day, we've talked about it, putting my name on the end of the door. It's a brand. It's more than the show. It's the music. It's the choice of who does your announcing, who does this, who does that, how you promote it, how you look at it. So you need to at least start putting thoughts together, because, well, you're starting a network. That's totally different than doing your show.
Yes.
Because I might be putting words in your mouth here, but your favorite killers may not necessarily best represent the network's best interest.
Yes.
Or your favorite font may not necessarily lend itself to staging a network, or any number of things. Or your love of polka music may not be best for the network.
True. And, I discovered that as I was trying to build the site and things like that, I didn't want to be girly. I didn't want to be, frou-frou in the least. And I almost went too far the other way trying to avoid that. And honest to goodness, since I started at the very beginning and had to get business cards, the back of my business card has always said the best in paranormal talk radio. And you can imagine how I felt when I met George for the first time and handed him that card and he flips it over. And I'm like, it's true, George. But, it's what I've always strived to do. And I had a good friend who I didn't know was such a good friend, kind of, like how we evolved, who said, I love doing graphics. Can I design a site, design a logo? And I was like, I would love that. And so that's where the WBHM digital broadcasting logo came from, was someone who listened to me and understood that I didn't really want to be girlish with it, because I am going to learn how to be a little bit more pizzazzy, but I have time. I'm doing that.
It's funny you mentioned the logo, because we talked about my transition away from the fast on Paranormal Talk Radio recently. Okay, so again, a friend of mine, went to a friend of mine, because as you have seen, anybody who's been to Malliard.com recently has seen a very straightforward, it's just typeface. It's not even a logo, so to speak, but it is a brand. It's the brand that I came to, but I got in my own head with it. So I contact, because he had done a logo for me before, with the old duck and the black. I'm sure people have seen it I think it might have even been in the video. So I said to him, dude, I'm in my head. I'm getting ready to drop the tag. Just laid it all out there. I want to, he said, sure, I can do that for you. And I sent him all this, the different imagery I had, and I said, just do it. Don't ask any more questions. He was been a guest on the show. He's known me, like I said, he was Duck Pond 1.0. Like, the history of the show. You kind of know where it's at now. Just do it. Don't ask any more questions. So I waited and waited. A couple days went by, and I'm like, oh, man, here I go again. Because I've asked a couple other people to do it, and I just hadn't heard anything or seen anything. And then I'm sitting in a public place, and I get a Facebook message from him. Look at this, and tell me if this is what you want. And I open it, then the image pops up. And it's the branding on top of the TV test pattern, with all the bright color stripes behind it. Mm-hmm. And I went, are you serious? You're playing me like that. I said, you know how I hate video in the first place. He's like, what do you think about the look? Don't think about, No, I'm like, no, dude, this is just, quit yanking my chain. He's like, what do you think? I said, I can't think anything because I'm so, I'm so frustrated. I cleaned it up that I can't think about how it actually looks because every time I look at it, all I see is just. Later that night, I got an email from him with the cleaned down versions and the no background and the black and white and all this other stuff. And he said, keep it black and white. And I said, okay. And it's all black and white. And it's someone black and someone white. And it really became really clear. That's what I was looking for. But I couldn't get in my own head. That's what I was looking for. And you can get lost trying to brand yourself.
Yes.
You can try to be way too cute with it. And that's what I was. Because when I look at that, I'm looking at it now. And it's just like, because I was trying all these different, like handwrite fonts and all this, just trying. And then I come back with a pretty square looking font. And it's just what I wanted. So.
Well, when I first started doing this stuff, I didn't have a lot of fonts and stuff to choose from. I'm not very graphics oriented. So I had a lot of help with that. And I really like just the simplicity of the paranormal experienced banners and stuff. But I think that your graphics are amazing.
Simplistic, and that speaks to the volumes of I just show up and let the guest tell you their story.
Yes.
That's just remarkable, and that's how I wanted it to be, and that's definitely what it is. I don't oversell anything. Anybody who thinks I do has no clue about life.
True. But you're always true to what you want to present and how you want to present it, and I like that. So, it's a balance. It really is. You have to be true to yourself and appeal to the public.
I think a long time ago I came to the conclusion that I had to just be myself.
Yeah.
Not try to create an on-air persona. And not try to be, well, we were talking about the guy that, was a character. Not try to be super professional radio sounding guy. Try to be so smooth you out-smooth yourself at times.
Right.
Because there are people out there who just need to sound like the glove on the AM dial.
Right.
And then you talk to them on the phone, you go, am I talking to Frank Lee? Because you don't sound like the guy that's on the radio.
Yep.
And they're like, oh yeah, same guy. I'm like, man, you put a lot of something in your voice when you're doing your show.
A lot of bass.
He's like, oh yeah, I got it cranked to 11. I'm like, that is true.
That is true. And that being said, we are going to have to go to a break. This is our top of the hour. We're going to be back in 5, and y'all come back. This is amazing. I am having the best information gathering